First off, I absolutely love that you put scripture in the comments.
All right, people say this to us all the time. Like, we'll give them scripture and they say, you need to go read the book of Galatians. You need to go read the book of Romans, as if we read the entire Bible except for the book of Galatians and the book of Romans. And we also took out Ephesians 2 verses 8 and 9. We just picked those two verses out. It's so ridiculous because when people don't understand the law, they're not going to understand the gospel. And if you can't understand the gospel so that you can obey it, then you're going to end up saying stuff like you're saying here. So the Pharisees did not keep God's law. The Pharisees made up their own traditions of men and passed them or put them as the commandments of God. That's why Yeshua says, why do you put your traditions in place of the commandments of God? So rather than keeping the 10 commandments, they were saying you have to wash your hands a certain way at a certain number of times using a certain pot, and you can't lift a certain amount of weight on the Sabbath. And now they say stuff like you can't turn your lights on the Sabbath, you can't turn your car on the Sabbath, you can't whatever it is, you have to get baptized in water, you have to take the Eucharist and the whatever, the wine they call it, to be saved. That's the Pharisees. When people take the traditions of men and put them in place of the commandments of God. So the people who are keeping the commandments of God, the 10 commandments, they're actually doing what Yeshua taught us to do. They are walking as Yeshua walked. The people who say, sure, you can keep the 10 commandments, but that's not what's going to save you, they're the Pharisees. So there's that. And then people always like to say, like, Straight as the Gate is a cult, because they don't see that the 45,000 denominations is actually the cult. They're the Pharisees who have altered the doctrine, taken out the pieces that they like, that suit them, and have decided this is how we're going to be saved. You got 45,000 different gospels, 45,000 different messiahs. Like, that's the cult. And they even accused Paul of this. And in Acts 24, he says, as in the way that you call heresy, so do I worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and believe all that is written in the law and the prophets. You don't believe what's written in the law and the prophets. You believe what's written in the New Testament, which doesn't even make sense without the law and the prophets. Because literally every other line is a quote that takes you back to the law and the prophets. So, I'm going to tell you where Jesus is in the Bible. Jesus is in John 5:43. If you start in verse 42, Yeshua says, he says, I know you, that you have not the love of God in you, because I come in my Father Jehovah's name, but you receive me not. Here's Jesus. Another will come in his own name, and him you will receive. This one is who Paul talks about in 2 Thessalonians 2, when it says that one will exalt himself, the lawless one, the son of perdition, will exalt himself above God and sit himself in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Jesus is your God. But he is not the God of the Bible. He is not the Messiah of the Bible. He's the one in Revelation that has the name or the number of a man, 666. Chi Z stigma. And if you look at what that means, if you just do a simple Google search, you will very quickly be able to see, if you don't have a Christmas log in your eye, that Chi Z stigma is Jesus H. Christ. The one who came in his own name, who exalts himself above the Most High, sitting himself in the temple of God, thinking that he is God. Yeshua is a creation of God, the very first creation of God, in fact. He tells you that in Revelation 3. Paul told you that in Colossians 2. The author of Hebrews, whoever that is, told you that in Hebrews 3. You just need to be able to have eyes to see and ears to hear in order to understand. But the whole world is deceived by this Jesus character, except for the very elect who understand that the Messiah is a Hebrew man. Right? When he woke up Paul, he spoke in his Hebrew tongue. He said his Hebrew name, not a fake Roman, Greek, pagan, hippy-dippy, gay demigod. Romans 1 tells you that God showed himself, his creation, to the people. They understand that God is true, that he's real. They understand the Godhead. But they hold the truth in unrighteousness. And for that, he gives them up to their own, to a great deception, to their own vile affections. Men with men lusting after each other, and the women turn the natural use of the woman into something unnatural. It's disgusting. It really is disgusting what this world has done to Jehovah and to our Messiah, Yeshua. The reason that you think that our tactics don't work is because they said they didn't work when Yeshua walked the earth. That's why they crucified him. They didn't like it when he was flipping over tables and berating cities. And they don't like it when we do it either. But the prophecies say that the servants of God will bear the indignation of God. We're not happy because God isn't happy. Paul tells us to sharply rebuke fables, not gentle, nicey. If I'm gentle, nicey, then nobody's going to remember my words when they find themselves in tribulation. But when you find yourself in hell on earth, you're going to remember that crazy girl in a cult that was yelling at you to keep the 10 Commandments and eat clean. And then go tell other people to do the same. That's literally the gospel. Keep the 10 Commandments, eat clean, and teach others to do so. That's the gospel. But you don't understand that because you want the hippy-dippy Jesus guy.